my 4G report card for the major carriers, and handy iPhoto tips for the iPad, this time on SpoonFed Mobile. School is out and final grades have been handed out to students. But are carriers making the grade when it comes to 4G? There's a lot of outrageous claims out there and a lot of confusion. But my report card for all the big carriers are going to give you some straight answers right now. AT&T started the 4G wars way behind, but in the course of a year they've gone from last place to second place because they now offer 4G LTE speeds in 35 markets and counting. We're talking about home broadband-like performance in the palm of your hand in devices like the HTC One X, which delivers uploads in the 6 to 8 megabit range and downloads up to 12 megabits per second, and that's in a pretty crowded office, so you're getting really fast speeds on the go. AT&T is still way behind Verizon, which is in a lot more markets, but we're giving them a B+ because they made a lot of great progress and they have a good selection of devices. If there's one 4G student that has the most potential, it's Sprint, because this network is going to be offering unlimited 4G LTE speeds, so you're not going to have to watch that data meter when you're downloading Netflix videos. On the other hand, Sprint is selling two devices that have 4G LTE in the name, but right now they're just connecting to 3G. And that's because the network is not getting off the ground until the summer, and it's just going to be in 6 markets to start. We say that Sprint for now gets an incomplete grade, but that's a little bit boring, so we're giving it a D. T-Mobile claims to have the largest 4G network in the nation, and they do geographically speaking. There's a lot of places where we log on where we get really good speeds from the HSPA Plus technology that T-Mobile offers. It's not quite as fast as the 4G LTE goodness offered by AT&T and Verizon, but we have seen pretty good download and upload speeds in excess of 9 megabits down and 2 to 3 megabits up. So it's not LTE fast, but it is fast for the money because T-Mobile offers rates that are less than the competition, especially AT&T and Verizon. If there's one thing that's frustrating for us is that the network isn't consistent. When we log on in some places, it's just not as fast as others. But overall, we think T-Mobile is a good 4G value, which is why we're giving it a B. Last but certainly not least is Verizon Wireless, which is the undisputed champ when it comes to 4G LTE coverage. The carrier now offers 4G LTE in 250 markets and counting, which is by far the best of any of the 4 major carriers. And we're seeing really good speeds from devices like the Droid Razr. On devices like this, we're seeing downloads up to 14 megabits per second and uploads up to 11 megabits per second. So it's not quite as blazing as AT&T's LTE network, but there's also a lot more people on Verizon's network because it's been around longer. If there's one nitpick that we have about Verizon's LTE is that sometimes when you transition between 4G and 3G, the connection will drop out. But overall, because of its broad coverage and fast speeds and really good selection of devices, we're giving Verizon an A-. So the honor student in our 4G report card is Verizon Wireless, because you're simply being able to connect in a lot more cities and get those 4G LTE speeds. There are other carriers that offer cheaper prices, but having that peace of mind knowing that you're going to get that speed when you get off that plane or you head into that meeting is worth a lot in my book.
Tips, tricks, fixes.
Now that summer is upon us, we're going to be snapping tons of photos on our vacations. But how are you going to make those images look their best, whether you're posting them to Facebook or printing? You could whip out your laptop, but it's much easier to use your iPad and fire up the new iPhoto for iOS app, which is just $5 in the iTunes store. Our own Davey Alba shows you how to tweak your pics using just a few taps and flicks.
So let's start with something simple, how to remove blemishes. So when photo day happens, you don't always control all the factors. Sometimes an angry spot or two will appear on your photos. So what you can do is correct them with iPhoto. Open up the image that is problematic. Just tap on brushes. And a fan of brushes that you can use pops up. Now you select repair, and then you just put your finger to the screen and rub over the blemish. And there you go. Maybe it's an overcast day, or maybe it's just too bright. Light is one of the trickiest things to deal with when you're taking a picture. Luckily, with iPhoto, you can still go in and correct this after the fact. So you tap on the picture that you want to correct, and there are 2 ways to do this. You can either spot correct, color correct your photo, or do it as a whole. When you want to spot correct, you tap on this little menu, the palette icon, which is the third one, to adjust the colors, and you touch the part of the picture that you want to correct. If you're touching the sky, iPhoto automatically detects that it's blue skies, and you can drag your finger left and right until you're satisfied with the results. You can also touch greenery and drag your finger across the photo to adjust the greenery in the picture. iPhoto can also detect skin color, so when you tap, it shows that you are touching skin tones, and then you just drag accordingly. So that's how to correct your image, spot correct your image. You can also do it as a whole. So you tap on exposure, which is the second icon on the menu on the lower left, and you put your finger to the screen again. iPhoto shows you when you drag up and down, it adjusts the brightness of the whole picture. And when you want to adjust the contrast of the picture, you just drag left and right. Who doesn't like adding a little flair to their photos? That's why such apps like Instagram and Hipstamatic were such runaway successes. With iPhoto, you can do the same filters and effects just like Instagram. So you select the photo that you want to add the effect onto, and you tap on Special Effects, the last icon on the menu on the lower left. A swatch appears, and you select any of these 4 strips to edit the photo. Let's go with vintage. And you tap or drag your finger across this strip to see the different effects. If you're working with vignettes, you can also tap that to activate it, and then you can pinch to adjust the vignette, pinch outward to decrease it until you're satisfied with the image. So with all these tips and tricks we've shown you, now you know what a powerful tool iPhoto can be on your iPad. Who needs a computer and Photoshop when you've got this app loaded right on your slate?